Good morning, gurus. Welcome to another episode. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Bitcoin yesterday, crypto, stock market, all massive drops. We had drops of like 7% on Tesla. Google was down 5%. Nvidia was down 4%. Bitcoin went down to 93,000. It was just a massive bloodbath in the markets. And then towards the end of the market, towards the end of the trading day, the Treasury bought back stocks. It bought back Tesla, Google, Nvidia, and they rebounded, fully erasing the drop even into the green. So the government, the Treasury, is buying back stocks and keeping the market strong. It had to step in because the drop was just brutal. They didn't step into Bitcoin. The whole panic started because Michael Saylor Strategies moved 40,000 Bitcoin. They said they didn't sell it, but they did. It did show an argument on their wallets that they moved 40,000 Bitcoin. Coincidentally, at the same time, Bitcoin was just dropped from 126 to 93. Michael Saylor said he didn't sell though. However, there was no rebound when he announced that he didn't sell, and the wallets show that Michael Saylor Strategy moved 40,000 Bitcoin. We're going to jump in charts. I closed my Bitcoin trade yesterday. It was negative around 14,000. It was a small trade, and I closed the remaining Google that I had. I had 20% left in Google. Now I'm all cash. I closed Ton, I closed Uni. I'm all cash except altcoins and seed investments. And the market corrected quite heavily. Bitcoin came down to 93k. We're going to jump into the charts for Bitcoin. We're going to see where we can open trades. I started a new trade on Bitcoin when it spiked down to 94. I'm going to show you in this video. Hit the subscribe button, smash up, thumbs up on the turn on bell. 2 months ago, I warned everyone the market's all-time high, time to close. And that was the exact top of the markets. And since then, we've just had massive corrections. Let's jump into technicals for Bitcoin now. Going into technicals, and you can see here there was just a huge drop in the markets yesterday, but now it looks all green because it reset. But Tesla was down at one point. You're going to see now how badly these tech stocks dropped, and then they bought it back. So you can see Tesla yesterday, it dropped. It had a drop of around on the start of the day. It dropped 13%. 13%, and then it had a rebound when I believe the Treasury stepped in to prop up to buy it back. Not just Tesla, but a few different ones. After that 13% drop, it rebounded 7%. And you can see the same thing on Nvidia, up 1.7% yesterday, but actually it had dropped massively. On the start of the day, Nvidia dropped almost 5.7%. We're talking trillions of dollars were wiped off the market, and then we got a rebound when the Treasury stepped in of around 5.8%. It fully rebounded. Same with Google. Google, massive drop and then rebound. Google opened the day and then dropped 5.4%. And then we got a rebound from there, and Google rebounded, and now in pre-market it's back up to 286. It bounced back 5.7%. And then Google finished green on the announcement that Warren Buffett is buying Google. But I am closed now. I bought, if you followed my videos, we were buying Tesla from the April tariff lows, and we made our gains, and then we got out at the top. So if you've been following my videos, we sold about a month ago. We sold up here, and we rode that wave. We made on Tesla from the April tariff low, we made 116%, and we closed the profits. Nvidia, we did the same. From the April tariff low, we bought, and it looks like a rising wedge on Nvidia, which is dangerous patterns on everything actually. And we closed the top of Nvidia as well, 147%. Same with Google. If you were buying Google with me from the April tariff lows, we made 50, no, that's drop. We made from the April tariff lows, and I closed about a few weeks ago, and yesterday I closed the remaining. We made about 100% on Google, and now the stochastics on the weekly are all overbought, turning down. Squeeze mobs also turning gray. On Google, down on the daily, down. Tesla is oversold on the daily. On the weekly though, coming down from overbought. Tesla had a massive drop yesterday, and then the Treasury bought it back. You can see it rebounded to be almost green on the day, but it was a massive week. Like you'll be able to see it here. It dropped all the way on the open, all the way down to 381, then rebounded to 404. So the Treasury stepped in to prop up the market. But this looks like to me that Tesla is going to come down. The support's on Tesla 216, 290. We need it to go oversold. On the weekly stochastic, I'm looking for it to come into oversold. Bitcoin, however, is starting to be oversold. Bitcoin dropped to 93 yesterday. Huge drop on Bitcoin as well on the daily. You can see here on the day, Bitcoin it went from the last 4 days, it went from 107 all the way down to the yearly support at 93. Stochastic is now oversold on the daily, and it's oversold on the weekly, and it was oversold on the 4-hourly. I started a trade down here. I had a trade opened from 102. It went in the negative. I'm going to set a trade now on VX as well. I want to open a trade on VX. I've got an order on VX for 90, but I'm going to open one here because I just think it's oversold right now. Open long. Going to cost 1,000 margin. I'm opening long at the current price. I opened long here on VX at the current price. It's a $20,000 trade. It cost me $1,000, and I opened a trade over on Bybit as well. On Bybit, I also opened a trade, and you can see yesterday, this is where I was opening trades on Bitcoin. I opened one at 105, 103, bought down to 198. I lost a total of 14 grand on that trade, and then I closed it out. I sold it at 95, got a bounce to 97, then came back to 193. Then it looks like double bottom. So I bought here, and I've opened a new trade, one Bitcoin. It's currently $270 in profits, but still, that was quite a big drop. We're talking from 107 to 93. 107 to 93. It was a 10% drop on Bitcoin in one day, and that was all on the news that everyone was thinking Michael Saylor sold. Why? Because if you follow me here on X, this was 2 months ago as well, 3 months ago, when I closed majority of my positions, sold positions, spot and derivatives in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tesla, Google, Nvidia, Ton, Nike, World, Microsoft, reasons, locking in profits, all stochastics on every weekly time frame above tickers is overbought and turning down. I will set buy orders on major weekly supports and consolidating Bitcoin, Tesla, Nvidia, Google, Ton, Microsoft, Meta for AI play. And we made crazy gains there from the April tariff lows. 462,000 people saw me buying the April tariff low on the day, 7th of April. Treasury stepped in to bleed. Nvidia stock, Nvidia races all loss and turns green on the day after falling as much as 4%. Tesla also just turned green after 5%. On today's strategy movements, Arkham explained this. Strategy moved 43,000 Bitcoin worth 4.2 billion to 100 different addresses over the past 2 weeks, and they said that they didn't sell. Bitcoin coming to yearly support, started a 0.5 Bitcoin trade, laddered orders down 2 hours ago, added into this trade and building this position. Total market cap had a $500 billion wipeout from the top. Major supports on Google, biggest sellers in the last 24 hours. This is what spooked the market, 218,000 people. You can see here the biggest sellers in the 24 hours. The outflows were 7,000 from Binance, but you can see MicroStrategy, 4,000 Bitcoin, 4,000 Bitcoin, 3,700, 3,500, 3,000, and this spooked the market. And then look how many, and Saylor is not selling Bitcoin. That would create a trust in his products. It's sus, he's moving so much Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin was dropping massively. People were saying they were just outflowing, they weren't selling it. However, people weren't sure about it because Michael Saylor moved 58,000 Bitcoin valued at approximately $5.7 billion to new addresses today for unknown reasons. And then he posted this weird message, HODL, while the ship is burning and he's alone on the and people are like, what's going on? But he said they are not selling. And then people, this is live now, you're watching Twitter. This said, y'all going down with the ship, but I ain't. He said, HODL. And then he was moving lots of Bitcoin. You can see his strategy moving huge amounts of Bitcoin to different wallets. They said they weren't selling. MSTR now down 65% from all-time high. Michael Saylor's strategy. It was a very interesting day yesterday with the markets dropping. This is the WEX trade I just opened on with Bitcoin, and this trade, we are quite low on Bitcoin and we're oversold on the weekly, so I might add more to the trade. It came very close to the yearly support at 93. You can see here it came, but we have this rising wedge that I've been warning about, and now Bitcoin is down 24% from the high. Rising wedge builds pressure and breaks down. Target of the rising wedge is 73, but it came to a yearly support. We didn't get much of a bounce though. That's worrying. That should be a very strong support, yearly support, but not much of a bounce. Next support is at 88. Next support is at 81.75. These are the supports on Bitcoin. I don't think we go below 75, to be honest. It's such a major support, it's unlikely. 73, and you can see I've got all those trades laddered down. So I've got orders at 92, 86, 78, 72, and I'm going to build positions, but we are getting a bounce here on Bitcoin. It does look oversold on the weekly though. You can see here it's oversold on the daily. Very oversold on the weekly. Very oversold on the 4-hourly. It's oversold on every time frame now, not the monthly though. On the monthly, we're still overbought, so we got to be cautious here. But now it's getting to buying range, especially on the yearly support, which is amazing. Crypto Guru Bot is still saying blue buy from 20K. It hasn't fired a sell yet. Bitcoin Indicator Bot is fired a sell a few weeks ago. It fired a buy for a day, then fired a sell straight away the next week, so it didn't stick on. So I'm going to let those orders trigger as they come down. I'm not going to go heavy here. I'm pretty much all in cash because the markets are acting just crazy weird. If you saw what happened yesterday, it was insane. To have 10% swings on the stock market, also on Google, you get the bots at jamescryptoguru.com. It fired a sell on Google exactly at 291. I nearly took all profits around this area here, which is beautiful. We ran up 103%. Nvidia also, we ran up 147%. It also fired multiple warnings. It fired a sell a little bit earlier, but a rising wedge on Nvidia, which if that plays out, that will crush the markets. Their earning is on on Wednesday, their earnings report. So this is the Bitcoin trade I opened, and I've got this Bitcoin trade open from this morning, and I closed yesterday in the middle of the drop. All the links are down below if you want to trade like this. Bybit, WEX, they're the main exchanges I trade. Free Telegram, join. There's 9,000 traders in there. Take the courses, jamescryptoguru.com to get the bots. And join us in the Telegram, 226 of you online. There's also a trader Telegram now. Michael Saylor strategy bought Bitcoin every day this week. We bought Bitcoin. He said he didn't sell, which is interesting. People discussing. Join them in the conversation. That's my updates in the market, everyone. Brutal day in the markets, but then the Treasury stepped in, which is very interesting, and propped up the market. It looked like they had to stop the bleed because things were down 5%, 7%. But they didn't step into Bitcoin, which was interesting. Hit the subscribe button, smash that thumbs up button, turn on the bell. Michael Saylor says he didn't sell, but on the Arkham and on the blockchain, it shows they moved almost 48,000 Bitcoin at the time that Bitcoin was dropping massively, which is questionable. Love you all. Have an amazing day. Now we protected our capital. Wait for it's oversold on the weeklies, on Bitcoin, Tesla, Nvidia, Google, and then I want to step back in. Everything's still close to all-time high. We made those gains, protected our capital. Now we keep it, and now you don't want to go in too soon, too much. Even these trades, 14K small trades that I'm making, they're very small trades compared to the total capital. I'm using less than 1% of my capital. Why? Because you don't want to give back all the gains trying to buy in while it corrects. You want to wait till it's corrected all the way, then enter back in. Love you all. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.